we're all big fans of things that go bump in the night.
Mhm.
But this one is a whole lot of fun. I mentioned to watch and now with an audience or now to see get all the feedback on it. So you got to be pretty excited to unleash this to the world, right?
Yeah, it feels like I was talking to my brother about it. It feels like a kid going off to college or something right now because it's been with us for so long, and we had a great festival run and a great theatrical run, and now it's like really just we can check into it and love it as much as always, but let it kind of take wind as much as it can.
Yeah, and that kind of interesting because you're so close to it and you've seen it so many times by now, and you know it's almost like an old movie for you, right?
Yeah, I mean it's I love watching it. I love watching it with people, but it's always funny how familiar everything becomes. But it's been with us. I mean, I've told the story a lot, but the first draft was in 2011. We made a concept trailer for it and that came out in 2014. And so this is a very big culmination. It's kind of closing the door on a saga that's been with us for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, I'm sure you have plenty of great memories from the set. Is there a certain day or scene or time that stood out to you as like, I'm always going to remember this?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but one that immediately comes to mind. There's a montage kind of at the almost exact halfway point of the movie in the rain. That's a crime scene montage, and originally we hadn't expected rain, thought of rain when we were doing it, and it just came down, and we decided to shoot through instead of pushing because there were too many variables. And perhaps in a bigger movie, we might have not. We might have rescheduled it, but we figured out how to do it, and it's some of the most cinematic looking stuff we've ever gotten, and it was just such a thrill to be like excuse me, in a poncho with Carson and everybody else for an hour, just running around and being like, camera there, this, let's make this vignette, pull this here, blah 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 blah, background there, and it was just so in the pocket and so there was a flow that we had that was just very very special that I will always remember.
Oh, that's so cool. And you know, I know that a lot of people it's funny to watch, you know, people's reactions and comments and all that stuff. But you've been seeing some nice stuff online. You know, what is it that you see most people kind of taking away or getting from this that they're like, oh, that's cool. You see my baby.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard I've heard of somewhat how polarizing it can get, which I think is we think is hilarious. I think the people that are really loving it and getting it are the people that realize that there is a streak of very specific absurdist, some might call it like cringe humor throughout that is deeply intentional and something that we talked about a lot with the actors and this idea of the absurdity of how loud people can get but ultimately say nothing is very much what the movie is about, and I think people that kind of get the theatrics of that are the people that have the most the fun time in the movie. I mean, I love our mystery. I love our moments of really like raw blood and kill sequences, but this through line is that it's this heightened reality, and there are a few like straight people throughout, and I don't mean that in a sexuality way, but like straight men in like a comedic sense who are surrounded by hot air balloons, and I think you're watching these hot air balloons get pricked out, and I think that's really where the fun of the movie is as it moves closer to these very grounded, more naturalistic characters.
Hmm. And also kind of fun that it comes out in election year, right?
Yeah, it lined up really well. The election wasn't part of the original script, and then Carson thought of it a few years ago, and we did a big rewrite and incorporated it. And I think it's really cool that it's coming out wide in the lead up to an election. I'm happy that the VOD is coming out in May because we have all these like Memorial Day, July 4th, Flag Day kind of things, and then gaining some steam and momentum as we move into the the big election. Um,
Yeah.
I think ultimately the movies finds a lot of its conflict and comedy in this political theater, the kind of absurdity of some of the theatrics in politics and people that use a system. So you know, you ask about people's thoughts. I think some people, I've had conversations with people at film festivals who are like, well, we don't know who's on what side, and it's like, yes. And some people I think may think that's a cop out, but the idea is that these characters may not even exist in the same political spectrum that we have. It's not necessarily Republican Democrat. It could be just a different system or two independents who just happen to be, you know, with their own ideologies or lack thereof.
Absolutely. And then, of course, making these kind of things and going the film festival run, you see people that see you achieve your dream, and no matter how hard it was to get there, and they look up to that and they think, oh, this is what I want to do. And you've done this, a bunch. So, what kind of advice do you give to filmmakers that want to follow in your footsteps?
I think expect that for the most part, things are going to take a lot longer than you think they will every step of the way. And sometimes the moments where you're actually making the movie are they end up feeling a lot shorter than everything else with it. So savor those moments, but find joy along the way too. But there's just a lot of, I mean, you alluded to it before. You're sticking with something and staring at something for a very long time, and um, figuring out a way to maintain objectivity in that is important. And I think making sure that it's something that like you really, really love and that really, really needs to exist, I think is important because you are making a commitment to it. I alluded to this as a kid going off to college earlier, and I feel the way about, you know, our movies in general is that it's, you know, I have 8 kids now. I have to check in with them and I have to pay child support on them and I have to, you know, there's a lot, and that's what I would keep in mind.
Yeah. Well, and you might be familiar with my co-host Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, went in the Hall of Fame, caught the Hail Mary. So proud of him. And he wanted me to ask you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
That is a great question. Not necessarily specific to Founders Day.
Yeah, but just in general, life or your career or both.
You know, I'm for this conversation, I will take it back to when we made the concept trailer
Mm,
for this movie because it was I had acted in a bunch of stuff. I had worked on some shorts with some other guys, but this is the first like mainframe pictures brand thing, this concept trailer. And I really figured out a lot of it as I went along. And I fun there were things I didn't know. I mean, pieces of being on set, things I didn't know. And I said, we're just gonna do it. I trust it. I trust that, you know, I can do this and I can surround myself with the right people. And in terms of like fundraising bit by bits and like restaurant profit share nights and just cobbling just enough together to make something and then just like I'm just going to do it and I'm just going to figure it out. um and there have been variations on that theme throughout my life, throughout my career. But that was the really first moment of like, you know what, let's just we're going for it. Like I mean, to use the analogy, you know, like fourth down, you're on the other side of the field, but like you're just gonna say if I don't do it, then I'm always gonna wonder, you know, wonder what would have happened if I.
yeah, I love that. Well, and then of course, it worked out. You either threw it or you caught it, but one of those it worked out. So
Yeah,
it's pretty.
the game went into overtime, that's for sure. But we
Yeah.
I think we caught it.
I love it. Well, of course, independent filmmaking is a lot harder than anyone can imagine, and sometimes it's not as fun as we think it is on sets. But what do you keep in mind that keeps you on the right path even when things are tough?
Um, I we shoot for the edit. Carson and I edit the movies, so we know how to prioritize. I surround myself with people that I really trust and that are really good at their jobs too, and who trust me, so that I lean on them and I trust their eyes. If I lose objectivity for a moment or if I need um a nudge, then I really do trust these folks and they trust me. So if we are down to the wire and it's like, and I tell them that, you know, we got one take and I'm like, that's all we can get, they believe me. So when it gets tough, I think that it really is all about the relationships that you have,
Yeah.
the people that you're working with.
I love that. And then now after this, I can't wait to see what you got next for us. What do you have coming up? Or is that like is that like asking when you're gonna have another baby when you're
No,
still
no,
trying
we're definitely talking about it. We're writing right now. We have a few things that are pretty far along, and we're hoping to get back up with something this year and place a couple of other things. So we're deep in it for sure, and we're itchy. We love being on set, and what I just alluded to with folks that are our collaborators. I love being able to have a few weeks where we're all in the same place, and it really at this point takes a project to bring everybody together and have your group, your posse, your tribe together for more than a night or two at a time. And so that's really where I get an immense amount of satisfaction, is being able to occupy a space with fellow creative kindred spirits for an extended period of time. So we're trying is the short answer to that question.
yeah, who knows? Maybe even a Founders Day Part 2, right?
We weren't going to, and I it's nothing on the books, but we've been asked that question more than I thought we would, and then we were like, oh, there's an idea, and we had a so we know what we would do if it ever
Yeah.
happened.
I love that. That's so cool. Well, for now, we're going to tell people to enjoy this one, and it's a whole lot of fun. We're so happy that you're getting it out in there, out in the world after all of this, and we tell everyone to check it out and look forward to talking to you very, very soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.